The Democratic Unionist Party, DUP, remains the largest in Northern Ireland after all 108 seats in the Assembly were filled. Their leader, Arlene Foster, will continue as First Minister. The final count in Upper Bann ended on Saturday afternoon. The DUP has 38 seats, while Sinn Féin has 28, the Ulster Unionists 16, SDLP 12, and the Alliance Party 8. The Greens and People Before Profit Alliance have 2 seats each. The TUV leader Jim Allister remains its sole representative. In terms of the last assembly, the DUP holds the same number of seats and Sinn Féin has dropped 1 seat. It has been a difficult election for both the Ulster Unionists and the SDLP. In the end, the Ulster Unionists ended up with the same number of seats as before, but the SDLP lost 2 seats, one in Foyle and the other, after a marathon counting session, was Dolores Kelly's seat in Upper Bann. DUP leader Mrs. Foster said, "I'm absolutely delighted with the mandate that my party has been given to drive forward Northern Ireland into the future. Of course, people have spoken and they have spoken very clearly." Looking at the Sinn Féin strategy in this election, Gary Kelly said, "I think what we will do is take it constituency by constituency and look at vote management and all of the rest of it. I think, to a great extent, that the vote management wasn't that bad." He said his part knew that Gary Carroll of People Before Profit would take the seat in West Belfast. "We agree with what a lot of what People Before Profit say. There are some things we disagree with. We said we would work with them in the south and we will certainly work with them in the north." UUP leader Mike Nesbitt said his party's campaign had been neither a success, nor a failure. He said the party would return 16 seats, the same as in 2011, but signaled a change of personnel. SDLP leader Colm Eastwood said his party had been left with a lot of work to do. "All of us need to learn lessons that Stormont is not delivering and people are not happy about that," he said. "We've had a rough couple of years, we've begun to change the face of the party and we're going to build from here." Alliance Party leader David Ford said his party had had a safe enough election compared to other parties and he was now concerned about shaping a program for government that's inclusive and will promote the needs of all people in Northern Ireland. Gary Carroll won People Before Profit's first ever assembly seat in West Belfast at the expense of Sinn Féin. He was followed by his colleague and veteran civil rights campaigner Eamon McCann, who took a seat from the SDLP in Foyle to secure his place at Stormont. Martin McGuinness topped the poll for Sinn Féin in Foyle, and was elected along with SDLP leader Colm Eastwood. The DUP's Frank McCubbry came within 89 votes of winning a first Unionist seat in West Belfast since the 2003 election, but he just lost out to Alex Atwood of the SDLP. Jim Allister retained his North Antrim seat for the traditional Unionist voice and Claire Bailey secured one for the Green Party in South Belfast. Ulster Unionist leader Mike Nesbitt came out on top in the Strangford poll. But he said his pre-election prediction of the number of seats his party would win had been ambitious. Naomi Long will return to Stormont for the Alliance Party, winning in East Belfast a year after she lost her Westminster seat to the DUP in the same constituency. Passing the 30 seats mark is significant for the DUP as it allows the party to deploy a petition of concern in the Assembly, which effectively acts as a veto against proposals that its mlays oppose. But it lost a seat to Jenny Palmer, one of its former councillors who left the party last year after claiming she had been bullied. She was elected for the Ulster Unionists in Lagan Valley. West Tyrone declared its first seat on Saturday, the SDLP's Daniel McCrossan, after the 8th count. Several mlays from the previous assembly will not be returning to Stormont, with the independent John McAllister, the DUP's Ian McCree and Phil Flanagan of Sinn Féin among the most high-profile figures to lose their seats. 276 candidates stood in Thursday's election, with 108 seats in Northern Ireland's 18 constituencies up for grabs. In all, 703,744 people voted, and the turnout of 54.91% was down slightly from the figure of 55.64% in the 2011 Assembly election. Mlays are elected using the single transferable vote, STV, system, a form of proportional representation, and about 2,000 count staff have been working at 8 centres across Northern Ireland.